All right, it is time now for all things current California politics, joined again this week by Rich Ehisen, editor-in-chief of Capital Weekly publication. Big Tuesday night for Gavin Newsom. If he plans to run for president, wow, right now, Prop 50 passes. He's sort of the lead Democrat against President Trump. But there's still a couple of years left to go before we really ramp up for the run for president. Is he peaking too soon? And what will he do to fill this time if he runs?
Well, I guarantee you it's something he's been thinking about. So I think there's any number of things, but I would be very surprised if he did not transition into some kind of a media position. That's why he's been, working on his podcast, going on other podcasts. He's always been very encouraged to go on all of the national media, much more than he's ever interacted with any of us poor slobs here in the California Capitol. I think he will find ways to keep his profile up. Now, one thing to really remember out of Prop 50, yes, I think without question he was the biggest winner. There's also going to be a lot of litigation around Prop 50, so he's going to get lots of opportunities to be talking about it to all the national media. He's got a huge small donor base now that he, between the recall and this, he really grew his small donor base. He's going to do a lot of travel. Believe me, he's going to find a way to stay in the spotlight. Yeah,
he'll likely, I think, end up as the political commentator for MSNBC or something like that to fill the year before he really needs to ramp up a run for president, if he does so. Okay, Alex Padilla coming out with an announcement that he's not going to run for governor. Does that really shake things up? Because we have a poll that included him if he were to be running. Does that really shake things up? In this poll, not necessarily at the top here.
Well, it certainly is shaking up the consulting class in Sacramento. I mean, every single person that I interacted with after that announcement came was just stunned, right? They all thought, because he had indicated up to, really the day before he announced that he was really heavily leaning that direction. What does that mean? Well, that, him getting out, he would have been a prodigious fundraiser. And it really, whatever the polls say right now, I think he was viewed by many, many people as someone who's going to be an extraordinarily strong candidate for the Dems. And certainly against somebody like Katie Porter, he would have had, I think, the obvious inside edge. I don't know now. I think what this does do also is it opens it up for somebody like Eric Swalwell, who is starting to consider it for sure. And we might now see even other folks get into this because,
Padilla's not.
The biggest dog in the hunt has gone to the sidelines.
Plus, Katie Porter, some people think that they could best her as well.
There are a lot of Dems who would like to run against Katie Porter.
Any chance in all this redistricting, Rich, it taking away Doug LaMalfa up north of here, Kevin Kiley as well, any chance, let's talk about those two guys, that they still could win and sort of punch back on what's happened with Prop 50?
Anything's possible. I mean, I think you really have to remember that. In politics, anything is possible. But you also have to remember there is not going to be an election anytime soon where Donald Trump is not on the ticket. That we saw that just in spades on Tuesday. And Trump said later, he thought Republicans lost so badly because he wasn't on the ticket. I would argue is the exact opposite. And I think that's what Kiley and LaMalfa and every Republican is going to face from this point forward. And the more they've leaned into Donald Trump, the harder it's going to be for them in these new districts.
Nancy Pelosi has announced she is not going to run again. It's 38 years in Washington. She's 85 years old. You surprised by that? You think this was a decision just made?
I will tell you, I was a little surprised, only in that she sounded like she was maybe setting herself up to actually run again. And, power is intoxicating. And, we saw it with Dianne Feinstein, the ability to walk away. Not everybody has that. So, yeah, I think she probably only really decided for sure recently. But, I think it's the right decision. For sure.
At 85.
At 85.
Go tour the world and enjoy whatever time.
Absolutely.
I would not want to spend that time.
Not in D.C.
Not in D.C. unless you haven't been to a lot of the museums, which I'm sure
Right, exactly.
Rich, thank you so much. Appreciate your time.